Cool. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. Of course, if it's early on a Saturday morning and you get a ping for the Cafe BTW podcast, that's me. We're back. It's been a 2-week hiatus. I'm super excited to be back. There's a lot to talk about in general. I'm doing a lot today as well, going to a retro event. But as you can see, we're starting off our return with a guest. I have the wonderful Pinball Jen here. How's it going,
Hello.
Jen?
It's good. It's so good. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
No, thank you for coming on. I'm excited because you're an awesome pinball enthusiast, content creator, and I think there's going to be a lot of awesome things to talk about today. We've only ever, and I mentioned this to you, we've only really done like one other pinball episode, and I don't give enough. I need to give more towards pinball, and I think this is perfect episode. So it really means a lot coming on. And how's your morning so far?
So far so good. Finally we have a little bit of sun here in Ohio. So, and for me, it's not that early because it's 11. So, I got to
It's
sleep in a little bit.
11's a good start time for the East Coast, where I'm on 8 a.m. over here.
Yes.
No, it's cool, and I'm really glad. I was telling you that we connected through TikTok because
Mhm.
I did a video on the Pinball Hall of Fame, and I think you do edit it, and then I discovered you, and I just love your takes on pinball, and you're very honest
Thank
and
you.
open. But let's time travel a little bit, because whenever we have guests on the show, before we get into everything, I want to learn about your kind of history with, what was it that sparked you as a kid, whether it was pinball or video games, that really got you to where you are today, where you love pinball, and you probably like video games too, but what is it about?
Do.
Is there a particular story you could call back to?
Oh my gosh, I have like so many memories of playing games growing up. I think that like one that I really remember the most is I used to be obsessed with like the Nancy Drew detective games. Like I don't know if you remember those or not, but they had like, oh my gosh, there was like 15, 16, 17 of them. They're actually on Twitch now, not Twitch, but Steam. So I used to beg my mom to buy those because you had to buy the CD-ROM to like play it in the computer. So I remember playing that. I also remember Fridays was game day in computer class, and we all, of course, played Oregon Trail. So played that a lot. And then when we got a PlayStation, I actually got the mats for DDR, and so learned how to properly play DDR. 'Cause I didn't really get introduced to a
Ooh.
pinball till like later in life, other than Space Cadet on the computer, which I don't think really counts.
Was there any moment that you did play a pinball machine as a kid, and do you know what machine that was?
No, I the
Oh,
first
wow.
time I remember playing was on the computer with Space Cadet. But
Which
I
is
did not play a physical machine till my mid 20s.
wow. And good morning, everyone. I see Mikey Loves Retro, Way Wolf Knight. Welcome to the Cafe BTW podcast. Jen, that's interesting. So let's move a little forward. What sparked your interest into pinball, and what got you to being, I look at your content, you definitely know your stuff. So what was it, and you're saying later in life, like what
Mhm.
was that moment later in life that got you into pinball?
Yeah, so I was dating a guy who liked pinball, but he worked second shift, so he couldn't do leagues or tournaments because all those tended to happen in the evening when he was working. So we would just go and we would play casually. And of course, I was really horrible at it because I had no idea what I was doing. And then eventually he broke up with me, and I was really bitter about that. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get really into pinball because he got really mad anytime I won because he's like, you don't even know what you're doing. And I'm like, you're right, I don't. But now I want to know. So I ended up researching that in the Cleveland area because I was living in Cleveland at the time, and found the Cleveland Bells and Chimes, became good friends with the former league director there, and it just spiraled from there.
So it spiraled from spite, in a
It
sense.
did. It
That
did.
is, hey, that's where the best, stuff comes from, I guess. That's really funny. I actually have a funny story, kind of reverse. Years and years ago, I broke up. Me and my girlfriend broke up, and just to be therapeutic, I started playing World of Warcraft back in the day, and I was like, I guess it's time to play World of Warcraft. So, but I'm not a like crazy, fast forward, I'm not like playing World of Warcraft anymore.
I mean,
But
if you did, there's nothing wrong with that.
no,
I was
totally, totally,
like,
totally. But that's really cool. And
yeah.
is Cleveland and Ohio known for pinball? Is there like a big culture there for pinball? Is it very popular?
Yeah, so in the like Ohio in general is not as known for pinball like Chicago is. Chicago is pretty much
Right.
like the pinball capital of the U.S. But Ohio is a super state, so when it comes to our rankings, there's a certain number of players and a certain number of events that you have to have in order to be considered a super state, and Ohio is one of them.
A super state.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like a terminology from pinball?
I mean, it had, I mean, I don't know if it's a terminology from pinball, but we're considered a super state when it comes to our rankings.
Mm.
So in our state finals, instead of getting, I think, 16 players in our finals, we are able to get 24 because we have so many events and so many players, so that we've qualified to be super state status to have more people allowed to be in our state finals.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
that's super state. I've never heard that before. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I think LA has, and I'm in LA, has a really great culture. I think we're lucky enough to have a lot of the before the pandemic when the barcade scene kind of exploded, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of great. There's one place called 82, which I did a few videos on recently. They have a beautiful pinball machine room. Of course, I'm not sure how you measure standards by what one arcade has than the other. But I'm a big fan of pinball, so this is just really exciting. So now we learned a little bit about why you like pinball. So let's talk about how did you get into more content creation around pinball? I have your TikTok up here, which you do great videos and they're funny. But tell us about like when did you start thinking like I want to do content? And also I like to ask people what's your experience with TikTok as well?
Yeah, so I always like love spreading the word about pinball, and I've tried a bunch of different mediums. So I tried, doing Instagram. Like you have it pulled up. I have a YouTube channel where I actually did pinball interviews with players and people within the community for a little bit, and then the pandemic hit, and I was doing like funny videos of me talking to my machine. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to join TikTok. We'll see how it goes. And I didn't really know like what direction that I wanted to be. I started doing kind of like the elder emo theme for a little bit. So if you go back to my like early videos, it's a lot of me like listening to like all this stuff that I listened to back in the day. But then I was like, you know what? There's not really a lot of pinball content that I could find on TikTok. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to make it. We're going to do some pinball content. And so I did that for a couple of months, but then I actually think it was in like August of last year. One of the trends where they're like, do the dance, and they ask you questions.
Right.
I had one video that did really well with that. And that's when kind of my followers count started going up after that. Cause I don't think people realize that like pinball is still a thing nowadays. So I really try to focus on, you know, doing educational videos, but then I also really like some people take pinball way too seriously. So I like having the funny videos like this one that's like, hey, it's okay. We can have fun. We can make fun of ourselves. But that's mainly what I do. So,
That's cool.
um,
And by the
oh,
way, that guy that posted this thing that went viral about
yeah,
this guy, this is like the worst take in the history of anything. Where he really, and I read the comics, not a single person agreed with him, not a
I
single
know.
soul. Why even post this video? It just tells me that this guy has no clue what he's talking about, and it really
Right.
pissed me off. So when I saw you duet it, it kind of blew up a little bit. A lot of people ended up duetting it and making fun of this guy.
Yeah, and it actually was one of my followers who we've never met, but they actually live in Dayton. I'm really excited to hopefully meet her one day, Nikki. She actually sent it to me, and I it didn't come up on my feed because apparently I'm not on that side of TikTok, so the
Right.
negative pinball side of TikTok, which I'm okay with, but so yeah, and it just kind of like exploded from there because nobody agrees with him at all.
Quickly, Mikey Loves Retro asked you, what's your favorite pinball machine? Which
Oh
I
gosh.
probably ask you. That's a tough question, I'm sure.
It is such a tough question. I get asked that probably on a weekly basis. And it's so hard because it changes all the time. And right now, I really, really do enjoy Toy Story 4. It just recently
Ooh.
came out. I really love it. I want to play it a little bit more. I'm excited because the arcade I'm going to today has it. So, really enjoy playing that. Of course, I love Iron Maiden. That's the machine that I have. Adam's Family is always going to be a fun one for me. There's so many. I think it's easier for me to tell you the ones that I don't like versus telling you the ones that I do like.
What's one pinball machine you probably hate the most?
Monsters.
Really? I did. Is that the newer one? I did pull
Mhm.
that up for later, so
Yes.
we'll talk a little bit more
Yeah.
in detail why you hate it.
Yeah.
And just to talk back about that video, the guy's basically point in that video is that no one knows how to play pinball. Um, and I think like even if you don't know how to play pinball, Jen, you could still have fun playing pinball,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Like you're just hitting the balls on the flappers or what, and stuff. And am I calling that right? Are they called
The
flappers?
flippers. The
Flippers. Why did
flippers.
I say
Yeah.
flappers? Wow,
It's okay.
I'm really terrible. All right,
Well,
cool.
and I think it also has to do with like the nostalgia effect for it because a lot of people who maybe haven't played pinball in years, played it as a kid because there was one at like the bar or the some like arcade that they went to as well. And so to see that these modern themes that are themes that they really enjoy, mashed together with that nostalgia of playing pinball, it just draws them to it even more. So it's a combination of a lot of things, I think.
All right, and then I'm gonna throw this question at you.
Okay.
If someone like an alien came from this planet and said, "What is pinball?" How would you describe pinball to them if you had to? Like, what is pinball? I wanna hear it from your thoughts here.
Yes, I've actually never been asked that question. And how I think I would explain it would be it's a game of strategy to try and beat the game. It's just no different than any video game, except for you have two flippers and you're trying to keep a ball into play. So you're trying to use the ball to beat the game because every game has a certain set of rules and scoring. And, once you get to the wizard mode, which is the mode that is basically like the final battle, the final boss, you've then beat the game. So you've got to learn the rules of the table in order to, be able to beat that final boss and win essentially the machine. But if you don't want to get that complicated in it, it's scoring the most points possible and having the most fun while you're doing it.
Oh, that's good. Those aliens would know exactly what you're talking about, I bet. You'd probably have to show them though. Like cuz
Yeah.
pinball's a very like pinball is so interesting because it's such a beautifully mechanically built machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still handmade, right, Jen? Like
They are.
they have to be, right? For the
Mm-hmm.
most part.
They are.
There's not a lot of robots built that make pinball machines. I'm sure they could figure it out, but
Yeah, I'll have to send you. There's a interview somebody did with Gary Stern, and that's one of the things they mentioned. They were like, "Oh, I thought it would be so like everything would be automated, but everything is for the most part pretty much like hand built when it comes to the machine."
yeah, that's really interesting. So, I'd love to get now kind of into the culture. We talked about, we could go. I was telling you that we could go down a rabbit hole and talk about the history of pinball and where it started and how it started. But I think what's really interesting is where is the pinball culture today, and what was it like right before the pandemic, and was there any kind of cultural impact from the pandemic and right now? I guess that's my question. What was it like a little bit before the pandemic, and was there any boom after the pandemic, or we're still in it technically? So I was curious, what's the culture like today?
So I think that the pandemic kind of like spurred us to really want more pinball because we lost a lot of pinball during the pandemic. We lost one of the largest pinball tournament in the world. We lost because of the pandemic. And so that really is kind of motivating people, I think, to want to get out to more shows, to want to play more, to want to see people. And it almost is like things haven't skipped a beat though. Like the first show that I went to, after post pandemic, so to speak, I remember seeing my friends and it was like we hadn't skipped a beat. We had, yes, we went through this really horrible time of being inside and kind of like a pinball desert because, the arcades were closed, but we still just picked up right where we left off. So I think it's, for the most part, maybe even stronger than ever because we're all so excited to be out and seeing, playing with each other again.
And are like, if I wanted to buy a pinball machine, are you just like going to a website, or obviously they probably have dealers, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
but what's like if I could afford a pinball machine, because what, they're upwards of $6,000 to $8,000, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. Newer, like the newer Sterns and Spookies and Jersey Jacks. Jersey Jacks can get up into the double digits of thousands too. Um, but yeah, they are, there's distributors for like the newer games, there's distributors. So you can go through them. Like most of the time, they also deal with, selling, reselling other games too. Um, there's Facebook Marketplace, people sell them. Craigslist, people sell them. There's a website called Pinside that has not only like where you can sell it, but also has like, other kind of like it's like a Reddit for pinball almost. But Tim Ball Wizard is one who he's a restorer and a dealer, so he buys and sells and trades and all of that. His content's really great. But it's also when you're getting outside of a distributor, you're getting into kind of a very sketchy area where people do unfortunately try to swindle you when it comes to games. And I've seen one too many people get taken advantage of trying to buy from somebody who they don't know off of the internet.
Oh, well, welcome to the retro gaming
Yep.
market, where
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen that happen plenty of times. I've been retro game collecting for 10 years and also have original stuff from my childhood. So I kind of know how to do it, but people are got caught up in the boom, and there's a lot of people selling fake stuff on eBay, and it's really sometimes scary.
Yeah.
But Waywolf says I've been away since I haven't played pinball for 6 years. Wow, you should jump on a machine.
Yeah.
One question, Jen. How many? You said you own a couple of machines, or you own one machine. What machines do you own?
I would say that I own two and a half. So I have Iron Maiden. I bought my partner a Flip Flap, which is an old EM from the 70s that we're going to restore for Christmas. And then I own American Girl's Flip Side.
American Girls Flip Side.
Yes.
Let me see what this looks like.
I,
Oh, is it like an older machine?
no, it's
Oh,
it's literally
oh,
it's
this thing.
literally yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
and it actually works. Like it scores points, the flippers go, the pop bumpers spin, and it's a legitimate, like it's actually a really fun machine, but it's built for an American Girl doll.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Holy crap. How much is something like this, if you don't mind me asking?
That one I got on sale for I think a little over $100.
Oh, that is
So like
neat.
it's not bad. And like we've actually used it in tournaments for tiebreakers because
What? That is
you can
cool.
easily transport it, and like I said, it actually works.
I really
There is
want
no
one
tilt
now.
on it though.
There's no tilt.
No.
Oh my
Oh, absolutely
God.
not.
And they're selling these still and stuff like that?
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah. There's actually one video out there that's really cool where the guy takes the entire machine apart to see exactly how it works because it's this huge mystery. Like American Girl won't share like who designed this game, who built it, or anything like that. We've like done like going down holes of trying to figure out. We just want to know who designed this game, and nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Really? That's really interesting. And
Yeah.
what's American Girl? That's like a distributor like Pin or a manufacturer like Stern?
Oh no, like literally, like like American Girl dolls.
Okay. So that's a thing. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not in the So American Girl
Yeah.
dolls. Okay, let me pull this up so we
Yeah.
connect the dots here. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So these are a big thing. So they made a pinball machine based on the dolls.
Yeah. Well, so they have themed dolls. So like Julie, who I think is this Julie? That might be Julie.
I don't know.
Julie is from the 1970s, and so Julie has like all of her like clothes and accessories and everything have to do with like the culture of the 70s. So they built her a pinball machine. So they have
Oh.
Julie's pinball machine. So like when I was growing up, I had Molly, and Molly was an American Girl from the 1940s. So real like World War II, like Rosie the Riveter, like all that stuff was who I had.
Oh, so this is like a thing.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry. I had no idea. This is great.
yeah. But
This
so
is
I mean, it's okay. I wouldn't. I mean, unless you have like girls or were a girl child, I don't expect, well, maybe I wouldn't say I don't want to limit it to girls, but it was really big with girls my age back in, the late 90s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I didn't, and now there's that interesting. I'll have to look up that pinball. I might want to buy one actually. Now that you
So,
brought it
and
up.
the biggest controversy with American Girl though is that they actually did a homeless themed American Girl doll. I'm not even kidding. Go down a rabbit hole. It's great.
Oh
You don't
wow,
have to do it
really?
now if you want to, but yes, they did.
No,
Homeless American Girl
this is the
doll.
kind of stuff that like just like is kind of interesting. Oh, this
I don't
I'll
know.
find it.
Yeah,
Oh,
you'll have to find it.
that's interesting. Oh, look, they even talked about it on like a big Good Morning America type show.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so interesting. One other
It's Kit. That's Kit on the left side.
that's Kit
I didn't
here.
have Kit. Yeah, that's Kit.
Oh wow, that's a whole
Yeah.
thing. I'm sure there's an American Girl like TikTok.
Oh,
Of
yes. Oh, for sure.
That's cool. Quick question from the chat. What is the most expensive pinball machine out there right now?
I'm gonna venture to say they just redid Fathom. Fathom Pinball, and I think that one was upwards of 14,000 to purchase.
Whoa, like a Yaris. That's like the cost of a Yaris.
Yeah. Um, so Fathom was a game I think from the 70s. It was either from the 70s or the 80s, and then somebody redid it. I don't remember which manufacturer did it. But it was it's a fun game, don't get me wrong. But 14,000 I think is a little expensive.
And do
Um,
pinball machines hold their value pretty much, would you say, if you take good care of them?
I think so. I think it's like with any retro game, the market fluctuates. Like right now, it's just crazy. People are selling machines for stupid
Stupid
crazy
money, yeah.
amounts. Oh, Haggis, that was it. Yeah. Um, Stupid amount of money. Like, when I got my Maiden, I think I don't even remember what Maiden's going for right now. But brand new, I think that they're going to range. I know that Supreme did like a specialty game with Stern where it was like limited edition, and I saw a video about how somebody posted this like $50,000 game. I was like, yeah, but it was like $6,000 to buy when it first came out.
Right.
But now it sells for like 50 grand because it's so, you can't find it anywhere. It's so rare.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
That's intense. How much would you say? And we're gonna go down into some of these modern games that you showed me. What's like in a good arcade? Like, how much money could a pinball machine make? Do you know that? Like, do you have any idea how much like a machine would make you?
I don't, because it's all going to depend on if you own it or if you have operators. So, like, if you walk into a machine, like into an arcade, there's two things. The people could actually own every single machine that's in there, or they could be renting them or having an operator have them on their location and splitting the coin drop with the operator. Obviously, if you own the game, then you're going to get all of the coin drop from the game. But if you're just the operator on there and you don't actually, you're probably going to be renting the space from whoever you're having the arcade, putting your machines at. So you're probably splitting whatever you're earning from, with the place where you're renting or where you have your machines on location at. When it comes to dollar amounts, I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
No idea.
There was when I was researching for the podcast, I do prepare, Jen. I try to. There was a guy that owned. I didn't watch the whole video, but he was gonna go through like what his machines make, and I think I listened to like the first one. And he said his Stranger Things pinball machine was making a lot of money in his arcade, but I think he said literally like $1,000 a year is what the machine would make, something like that, which isn't as much as you think it would. But again. Also,
No.
you need people to come in and play your games and stuff like that. I'm sure the Pinball Hall of Fame actually generates a good flow of money, but all the money at the Pinball Hall of Fame goes back to the actual pinballs because it's like a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jen, this is actually my footage of the Deadpool.
Ooh.
And by the way, Deadpool, if you see, he's right here. I have him behind me here. I'm a Deadpool enthusiast. I love
Nice.
Deadpool. He's my favorite superhero. I'm obsessed with the guy. I even asked the 7-Eleven people if I could take their Slurpee Deadpool 2 advertisement, and they gave it to me when the run was over.
Nice.
So what is? I thought this machine was fun.
It is.
And I want to hear. I'm hoping that you like this machine. I want to hear a little bit about what your thoughts are on the Deadpool machine. We're gonna go through a bunch of them now. I would love to
Yeah,
hear your thoughts.
I do actually really like Deadpool. I either play Deadpool really, really well or I play very, very poorly on it. But I think that this is a really fun machine. I really enjoy the layout and the flow of it and the rules that you need to get to in order to get to like the mini wizard mode and then the wizard mode on there. So I think it has a really good flow and has interesting shots that keep you wanting to try and make those shots because they're so, oh, that's Jack.
Oh, you know this guy? I saw a lot
Yeah,
of his videos. He must be a popular dude.
he is. Yes. He's a super nice guy as well.
Oh, that's cool. The fighting mechanic is awesome in where it lights up those yellow lights, and you like if you hit those pockets, then the fighting Deadpool will defeat the enemy, which I think is really cool. So is this a popular machine, a modern popular pinball machine? I would say, right?
I would say it definitely is. Yes. I do see it picked a lot in leagues, and when we have tournaments where you can pick the games, people do pick this game a lot because it is a lot of fun. And I think that while the objective is the same, you can have different strategies in how you play it. So while you're still again trying to do the same thing, you might get to it a different way than somebody else.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And what year is this one? This is not too old, right?
2019. I think it's 2019.
Wow. Okay. And it's a beautiful machine. I played this. That video I showed you was at 82 in LA. And by the way, every pinball video I ever do, I'm just gonna tag you in it.
That's fine. I love seeing it.
All right. Cool. So let's talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean. Thoughts on this one?
Jersey Jack games have so much to them. I really wanted to like this game, and I think that casually playing it is really fun, but I do not like it in a tournament setting because there's so much going on. So when you first walk up to the machine, there's, I think, over 20 characters that you can choose from to play. So like how there was that character at the center of the display, you choose to play that character. So everybody plays a different character, and every character gives you a different buff, so to speak. And so like you could be at a disadvantage because there's one character that you can literally plunder points from somebody else. So if you don't play first, you don't choose that character, then they get to plunder and like get points from you. So you literally can lose points in this game if somebody chooses that character. But I think that, again, I really like Jersey Jacks because they're so beautiful and they're fun, but I don't like playing them in tournaments.
Interesting. I will say this. I just went to Disney for my birthday, and Pirates of the Caribbean is my favorite Disney ride ever. But I've never played this machine. I might have saw it, but and this is very new, right? And look at the screen on it. It's got a beautiful LCD.
Then that's what Jersey, like, and dialed in next to it is a Jersey Jack as well. They're known for having those real big displays. So Toy Story, like I said, that just came out this year, has that big display that's in this, in the back box.
Oh wow, are they from Jersey? Is there a connection?
They were, but they actually moved recently to Chicago.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm a Jersey guy, so at least they're from Jersey, so that's cool.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And quick question: Mikey Loves Retro says, so do you enjoy video game pinball games? I think you said you played Space Cadet.
I did, but you actually on Steam and a couple of other consoles, like I think it's on Twitch, not Twitch. Why do I keep saying Twitch? Switch. And like Xbox and PlayStation, there is Pinball Arcade and like Stern Pinball Arcade. There's also Pinball FX from Zen Studios that are like, they're made up machines, but they're not real ones. But unlike Stern Arcade and Pinball Arcade, they're actually the real machine that you can play virtually. I don't mind it. It's not the same, but it's really great for learning the rules of a machine. So you actually can do a walkthrough step by step to like learn the rules of a table rather than, dumping quarter after quarter after quarter or dollar after dollar to try and figure it out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Jen, I love beer, so you got to tell me about this Oktoberfest game. It looks really cool.
I don't like it.
Okay, it's bad.
Um, I've played it a handful of times, and the times that I've played it, I don't really enjoy it. There's on the left side, there's a ramp shot that is so incredibly steep. It's like almost impossible to hit. It's you have to hit it at like the exact right angle in order to get it up there, and you know, but that's that left ramp right over there is super duper steep. Also, like, not a fan of the artwork. I think it could have been a little bit better
It's kind of old
from a
fashioned, I guess, right?
yeah, but it's from a, like the depiction of women's perspective. But that's just me.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes, I see what you're saying. Of course, yes.
yeah,
It's like the man show pinball machine.
yeah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I've never seen this one in person. Damn,
Yeah,
$7,795.
they're American's a newer company as well. Like Jersey Jack is a newer company, and American Pinball, they've only had, let's see, their Hot Wheels game is pretty cool. I
Which
think
I
that came
think
out.
I pulled up here
Yeah. Um,
somewhere. We'll get to it.
yeah, we'll get to it. It's fine. But yeah, they just came out. Legends of
Oh,
Valhalla was their most recent one they came out with.
here it is. I got it. Might
Yeah.
as well jump. This is Hot Wheels, I think.
Hot
Here
Wheels,
it is.
yeah.
And Hot Wheels, by the way, is a big collectible again. Like people are, I
Hmm.
mean, maybe it always was, but with the pandemic, like collectibles. But I know a friend of mine is just obsessed with Hot Wheels, and he's been collecting them. But this looks like a good machine. You like this one or no?
Yeah, I've only got to play this one like it's like same with Oktoberfest a handful of times, but I think that they did pretty really it's fun. It's really fun. I think it's one of those ones I think that if you did put it on location, it would probably draw and make you a lot of money because it has that pinball feel with the nostalgia of Hot Wheels. This was their first licensed theme that they had was Hot Wheels. And I think
That's
they
really
did a good
cool.
job with it.
And that's another thing about pinball is like it's synonymous with getting like a license attached to it, and that goes for like back in the day, like almost all pinballs have some type of license. I mean, Oktoberfest is an example of one that's more generic, right?
Hmm.
But for the most part, they're trying to get license and make all these awesome machines based on these brands. And Hot Wheels is a good one. Looks like a really
Yeah.
cool one. I've never played it. I got to check it out. Next one I have is the famous band, the Beatles.
The Beatles.
Beatles
Is this
Mania.
it's Sea Witch. Literally, this game, if you search Sea Witch, that is the exact same layout as Sea Witch,
How do you
which
spell
is
Seawitch?
Seawitch.
Oh, okay. Seawitch
Sea
Pinball?
Witch. Yep.
Seawitch. Okay.
Sea Witch.
I think I found it. How is
You
it
could
this
probably do.
How is it the same pinball is this it?
Yeah.
Like what do you mean by it's basically the same? Is it just the layout?
Look at the layout. Yeah. So look at the layout where you have the left upper flipper, the layout of your pop bumpers,
Oh.
the spinner placement is literally it's the exact same layout put into the Beatles. And it's because this
Oh.
which is a stern too. So stern already had the you see?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a good look. Okay, I see what you mean. It's got the same bumpers and
Mhm.
everything. Oh,
Yep.
interesting. Huh.
It's
This
a fun game though. It's a little harder to play because it's meant to be more of that like traditional solid state like Sea Witch was, so it's not a very high scoring game. But it's a nice meld of like an older feel with a newer theme because
hmm,
it's not overly complicated like some of the games can get, like Avengers or even Deadpool. There's not really a lot of rules to it.
interesting. I wonder how much they paid for this license. Oh my god.
I don't know.
The
Yeah.
They're like one of the most expensive, like to use their songs in a movie. You're
Mhm.
talking like upwards in the millions to use it. So I can't imagine what they paid for this. And Stern, I would imagine today is still a huge mega pinball company,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
That's
here,
the majority of the games are Stern that you're pulling up because they release at least I think four a year.
Wow, only 4 a year though. But I guess that's probably makes sense. But because they're like hand.
Well, if you're thinking about the fact that like American usually takes 2 years in between each game,
Wow.
or same thing with Jersey Jack. Spooky is the same way. That Stern just like pumps them out because they have the production value. They have the ability to be able to produce that many machines.
That's cool. Like, what is it like to be a pinball designer? That must be really cool. I mean, I'm sure that's a very unique job. You know.
It is. It is. I would have no idea where to start at all.
Do you know any designers? Have you ever met
I
designers?
do.
Oh, cool.
I do. Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yep.
It's like an art form.
It is. It's an art form. I think a lot of the designers start off as like making homebrews. So I don't know if this happens in like the retro cabinet gaming of people actually building their own retro cabs.
Oh yeah.
People will build their own machines, their own themes at home, and they can use whatever theme they want because they're not selling it. So they don't have to worry about buying the license or the IP for it. So a lot of designers got their start by building their own homebrews at home, and then the manufacturers see the talent that they have and they're like, you got to work with us, like we got to get you in here.
So why didn't you like the Munsters?
It's so boring.
Oh, it's so
So
boring.
boring.
It looks cool.
The black and white version is awesome. Like I think it looks really, really cool, but it's just, I don't know, there's just something about it that it just is boring to me. I don't like it. Some people really like it, and that's great. I don't. It looks great. I wanted to like this because I really liked the Munsters. I wanted to like it so bad, but I just don't.
How about this? Which actually season 4 of Stranger Things was amazing. I don't know if you're a big Stranger Things fan. Do you watch the show?
I don't.
That's funny. But you probably know the pinball machine.
I do know the pinball machine. I have literally tried to watch Stranger Things so many times that I just can't get past season 1. And so, when my partner when he was watching season 4, I'm like, the first part of season 4, I'm like, why are they in Russia? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, he's like, yeah, you've missed a lot. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I don't care. But Stranger Things, I think, is a really, really fun machine, and it's a really cool looking machine. Like, especially the LE, where you have like the lights that go onto that display to like show what would you call like the upside down or whatever.
Upside down world. Yeah.
There's also a cool light kit that can be installed and built into it that when you get to the upside down, black lights come on and just light up the entire playfield.
Whoa.
It looks really freaking cool.
Yeah, and just these are the Duffer brothers who created it. They're probably saying, "Oh, we got a pinball based on our show. We're so cool and we're very rich now." That's what they're saying. No, I'm just kidding. If I was like someone that created like a TV show and like if I created anything and there was a pinball machine like designed after that would be so cool. Like,
right?
It'd be cool if they made like a retro gaming. I know there's Super Mario Brothers pinball and like some definitely gaming pinball machines, but be cool if they made like an all-encompassing like machine that gave a homage to retro gaming. Like,
how could you fit all of that onto a pinball machine though? There's so much.
Well, it'd be cool like they put like an NES and a Genesis in there. I don't know. It'd be tough, but I would.
There you go. Andy, you just got your start in designing pinball. Go for it.
I gotta start doing that. I gotta quit my job right now and just like start designing a retro gaming pinball machine. I guess I'm sure people do. It's like making a show. Like I'm sure Stern gets pitched ideas. I would imagine that they get pitched ideas. Like maybe it's even a brand that comes to them and pitches them an idea. Has there ever been a Nike pinball machine?
Not that I know of.
Right. Like that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So this is Rick and Morty, which just like you with Stranger Things, I actually really funny. I've only seen parts and bits and pieces of Rick and Morty. I know all about it, but I don't watch Rick and Morty.
That's okay.
It's blasphemy, probably. What are your thoughts on this machine?
I love Rick and Morty. I love this machine. This was actually Scott Denise's second machine. So he did Total Nuclear Annihilation for Spooky, which was that if you're talking about it, not being a licensed TNA was not a licensed machine. And so there's an interesting podcast where Scott Denisi is on with my friends on Backbox Pinball Podcast that explained that he was only going to do one game with Spooky, and it was going to be Total Nuclear Annihilation. And then Spooky came to them and they're like, we really want you to design another game. And he's like, I'm not going to do it. And then they were like, well, what's your dream theme? What would you come back and do? He said, I'd come back and do it if you had Rick and Morty. And then they said, well, what would we tell you if we already had the IP for it? And he was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in.
That's awesome.
So he designed the game. All the music on it. He did the music for it too. Additional music created by Scott Denisi, because he's a great DJ. I don't know if you want to call is it a DJ? I think you'd call it a DJ. He's a great DJ. But cool. I love this machine. I think it's really fun. It's hard, but it's also really fun at the same time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Waywolf Knight says, I would love to have an arcade room with a beautiful view of the ocean. Curtains included, of course, when it gets too bright. That would be very nice. Yes, you need the blackout curtain so you have that dark arcade feel as well. And of course, one brand that has just exploded, in my opinion, in the mainstream recently, they've always been big, but the Ninja Turtles, they just released Shredder's Revenge, which is a brand new side-scrolling beat-em-up game. This is a newer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pinball machine, correct?
It is, yes.
It looks cool.
I don't like it.
Oh, so why don't you like this one? What would constitute Jen not liking this one?
I don't like the flow. I don't think it has a very cohesive flow to it, and that the shots tend to be a little bit difficult. And the rules are really kind of complicated, but it just, I don't know. There's just something about it that's the flow that I'm just like, I don't really like this. But I'll play. It's not like my disdain for Munsters. Like, I have a severe disdain for Munsters. I'm like, I just don't like it. I don't want to play it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. But like Turtles, I'm like, if somebody picks it, okay, it's not that bad. But I don't know. I just don't like the flow of it.
Interesting. And like, it's cool to hear like someone like you that plays pinball a lot and you really do care about like, how does the game play? Like, I don't think about that as someone that's not like, I don't pay attention to pinball every day, but when I play pinball, I'm not thinking about those things, but you're very, you've been playing pinball a lot. So those things matter to you. So I get it. Not all pinball machines can be good. Right. But what about, are there machines that you like, don't like playing, but you think the art is really awesome?
Sorry, you got cut out in there.
Oh, do you hear me now?
I hear you now. We're good.
Oh, what I was saying is like, there's obviously, I don't know how much you missed that I said, but I was just saying, obviously you can dislike a game, but are there games you don't like but love the art?
I think that this would probably be one of them. Like, I really enjoy the artwork on this one. I think it is like a very good tribute or depiction of the machine, and I love that the pizza wheel is spinning in the center of it. Like, I think it's really fun. I love the artwork, and I think they did it. And like, I think this was Zombie Yeti who did the artwork on this one. He always does a really good job. But yeah, I would say Turtles is one of them where I really enjoy the artwork. And again, I really want to love the theme, but just don't like the flow of the machine.
Now, how about The Mandalorian, which is a pinball machine I played at the Pinball Hall of Fame. Love the show. I'm obsessed with The Mandalorian. Like
me too.
Most people are. How does the pinball machine stack up?
The more the code gets updated on this one, the more I dislike the machine. Like, again, I think it goes back to like Turtles, where like I really, really want to like this machine. I love the theme. I think the layout is fun. However, the more that they do and change the code, the more the code makes it not fun. And I don't want to play it. And then I just don't want to play it.
And I guess we haven't touched on that. What do you mean by that? Like, just for the layman's out there, like how do you change code, and like, what is the code effect in a mechanical pinball machine?
Yeah, so it's just like video games, right? Where they come out with like a patch or an update. Most pinball machines are released with the code not finished, because they want to get it out there, not necessarily like beta testing it, but like, the things that aren't finished on it are usually like the wizard mode or the boss mode or something like that.
Interesting.
But even when the code gets finished, there's still changes and things that get made to it. So, for example, one of the things that was added to Mando that I absolutely don't like is this ambush mode, where it basically, if you get stuck in that mode, you have to finish it and you can't make any progress towards anything else on the game. And it's very, very frustrating because it's very easy to get that mode, but it's not easy to complete. And I don't know why they added it. But you know, it'll make tweaks to, sometimes there's bugs that need to be fixed, so they got to update the code on it. Sometimes they maybe need to dial back how many points you're getting for something, or dial up because it's not being worth as, you know, worth as much, or maybe change the way that you get to the wizard mode. So there's always things that they need to change, just like on, you know, video games.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful machine though, because
Yeah.
when I saw it at the Pinball Hall of Fame, I was like, "Whoa, this is cool. This is like something I would
Yeah.
just like want to own and put in my house and just have it look cool." You know,
Oh, I
um,
agree.
I want them to make an Obi-Wan pinball machine, just
And
because that would be cool.
that would be really cool. And I was surprised. They must have snatched this IP up so quick, because literally like Mando finished, and then I'm pretty sure like a month later this pinball machine came out. They announced that they were doing a Mando pinball machine. And I'm like, wow, that was really, really fast.
Yeah, and they have all the characters on it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool. And I mean, God, people love this show. Like for instance, like I liked Boba Fett. I don't know if you did the show,
I
but
did.
once the Mandalorian showed up, the show like was 100 times even better, and that shows how amazing he is, and I don't know, he's so like loved.
Yes.
There's something about Star Wars, we could go down this, but there's a lot of toxicity in the Star Wars universe. But man, do people love the Mandalorian? I'll tell you that. More people like it than hate it, that's for sure.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
I'm a huge Ultraman fan, believe it or not. I love Ultraman, and I know I was surprised to see that there's an Ultraman. Maybe not surprised, but wanted to know a little bit about this Ultraman pinball machine.
Yeah, so I have only played this maybe once, but Spooky released Ultraman and Halloween at the same time, and they're the exact same machine. So, like, if
Oh,
you look at the layout of
pull that up.
Ultraman and the layout of Halloween, um, it's the exact same layout. It's just the artwork is different. I think the artwork on Ultraman is beautiful. I think it's really, really fun.
Is Spooky a manufacturer?
Yes.
And do they only make spooky pinball machines?
That's kind of what they're known for. They've done others, like, this is gonna sound really weird. Domino's Pizza had a machine commission, like they commissioned a machine from Domino's. Like Domino's went to them and asked them. So there is a Domino's pinball machine that actually exists.
Whoa.
It features the Noid, so like the avoid the Noid on it.
Let's find it.
Um, they had one at the Cleveland Pinball Show
Oh, this is
last year.
cool.
It's really fun.
Because like I have the NES game, the Noid NES game, because Domino's
Yeah.
made an NES game. I used to play a lot of it back in the day. I still have it, but this is it, right? This is
Yeah,
cool.
that's it. That's it.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
Who
fun.
doesn't love pizza?
Oh yeah.
I'm actually a Domino's. Like if I have to order delivery pizza, I always do Domino's. I'm not like a Pizza Hut person or a Papa John's. But I don't know. What about you? What's your go-to?
Mine's Mod Pizza. I don't know if you have that on
We
the
ha-
West
we
Coast.
have my pizza. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it because it's the same price for, you can get as many toppings as you want on it, and it's the same price no matter what.
But they don't
So
deliver. You have to
they
go
do.
into. They
They
do?
do.
Really?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, you can download their
Maybe you're
app, they
right.
deliver.
Okay. I
They're
just
great.
haven't ordered from them in a while. They were
I
like,
get those points so I can get that free pizza.
that's funny. So now, everyone loves Rush.
Rush.
This is my footage, Jen. I think you might have seen this, but I
Yes.
shot this at Button Mash. Just so you know, just shout out to Button Mash. They're arcade barcade that closed down, and they've been closed for almost 2 years, and they reopened just
Oh
recently
wow.
since the
Yay.
pandemic. So I'm really happy to have them back. And the owner of this establishment has a warehouse full of pinball machines and arcade machines. And what's super cool about what he does is he curates his arcade. So he swaps out games and
Nice.
switches things out. So it's never the same when you go in there technically. So, but his pinball section's pretty cool. And that's me
That's cool.
actually playing a machine. I exist in real life, everyone.
What do you think of Rush?
I really liked it. I thought it was fun, and obviously the music is really cool. So how could you go wrong?
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
I don't. I mean, I'm not good at measuring good and bad on pinball, Jen, but I thought it was fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
this is a John Borg design, and I really enjoyed John Borg as a designer. But he has one shot that he's infamous for, and he switched the sides on it. So you know how on the right side there's the two in lanes right next to right above your flipper,
right.
you've got two in lanes. To get borged is what we call it, is if it hits the top metal part of in between the two in lanes and then goes right down the out lane.
Oh.
That's to get borged, because John Borg has that shot in pretty much all of his machines. Most of the time it's on the left hand side though. He switched it up for us this time, put it on the right.
Oh, interesting. And this is
Yep.
fairly new, right? The Russian.
Yeah, this was Stern's most recent one, I believe.
Right. That's what I thought. It's like
Yes.
brand new. So, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool to know because I noticed like this. I mean, I hadn't been in Button Mash in a long time, but it's cool to see that he's getting new machines too.
Yeah.
There's a Baywatch right next to it by Sega. Sega's done a bunch of pinball, right?
They have actually. And their games are actually really fun.
Really? Are they still developing
No.
pinball? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they abandoned that a long time ago.
Aw.
But yeah, their games are really fun when you run. That's the arcade that I'm going to today actually has a big majority of like good selection of Sega games.
And
too.
here's your favorite pinball machine ever.
It lies though. It does not have the ball on as the. It's something you got to buy as an extra on your plunger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's okay.
So I didn't like the Toy Story 4 movie because I thought it wasn't necessary. I thought that they kind of didn't really necessarily need the fourth movie. I thought the third movie was great, one of my favorites. But this isn't the movie. This is the pinball machine. What did you think of? Let me hear your thoughts on Toy Story the movie.
I enjoyed it. I think it's the weakest out of the entire franchise, but
Definitely.
I liked that it had the backstory of what happened to Bo, because you were like, after the second movie or the third movie, you were like, well, what happened to Bo? And like Buzz briefly mentions it like one time, and you're like, well, that's it. Like, okay. So I liked that it went into the backstory of like what happened to Bo. But it's pretty much the same character, like the evil toy who is, keeping all the other toys. It's the same character as whatever his name was, Flazzo or
Right.
Razzo from the third one.
Oop.
So
There's no Xbox pinball machine. Hold on, sorry. Went the wrong
no,
way.
but you can play it on Xbox.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the pinball machine? Obviously, you're a big fan.
I think it's probably one of Jersey Jack's best they've had to date. Like, it is.
It looks awesome.
Lot of fun. I really like the mini playfield that's up at the top, not the penny playfield, but the mini screen that's up the top there, that you can get a virtual pinball that eventually turns into like the actual pinball. Like, the shots are really cool. The code's not finished. However, I really like what the code's doing with it. There's a lot of stuff to do. I think it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. And they actually shoot these kind of teaser trailers, huh? This is a really high-end teaser trailer, I would say.
The promo videos, yeah.
Yeah, the promos. I was just in Disney. I'm surprised I didn't see this on maybe in California Adventure, which is like their other park. It would have been cool to see that actually at Disney.
There's actually it's weird because somebody was like, oh, there's not really many Disney themed machines. I'm like, well, actually there is, because Star Wars is Disney.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Are
so
there
there's
any
a Star Wars, Mando?
Has there ever been a Mickey Mouse themed pinball machine?
No, I know there was a Steamboat Willie homebrew. But it wasn't like an actual machine, and I was really sad because it was at Louisville Expo this year and I didn't get to play it, and I wanted to play it because it looks really cool. It's all black and white, kind of like the black and white monsters, and it just looks really cool.
That surprises me, though, that they've never really done anything with Mickey Mouse in a pinball fashion, right? Isn't that surprising how old Mickey Mouse is and how old pinball machines are? Interesting.
Well, it could be that might be one IP Disney's not really willing to like let go.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure Mickey Mouse licensing is not cheap.
Oh no.
I mean, I can't imagine. He's one of the three most recognizable like things in the
Oh,
world.
for sure.
There's like Mickey Mouse, Jesus, and Mario, right? Like anyone
Oh,
can recognize their
yeah,
faces.
for sure.
I'm not a religious person. I'm just giving an example. Um, that's how you could put those pictures in front of a kid, and they'd probably know who they were.
Now we could probably put Mandalorian on there, and they'd
Oh
all know who
yeah.
he is too.
So let's talk about. We're getting towards the end here, and it's been
Yeah.
almost an hour. Wow, we have really, it's gone quicker than I thought. And let's talk quickly about Cactus Canyon, the remake.
Yeah. So this is an interesting
Looks pretty.
story. It is. So Cactus Canyon was a game. It came out in the 90s, and the code was never finished on this game. And so Chicago Gaming Company is known for doing remakes. So they remade Attack from Mars. They remade Monster Bash. And so one of their latest ones is Cactus Canyon that they're doing the remake for, and they're actually going to be finishing the code. The sad part of this story is that the legendary coder Lyman Sheets was the one who was working on this, and he passed away at the beginning of the year.
Oh, sorry.
So
What was the name?
Lyman Sheets.
Lyman Sheets sounds like a cowboy name, like
Yeah.
someone in the Wild West. So it was perfect. But rest in
Yes.
peace. Rest in peace.
Yes. So he was a wonderful individual. I didn't have the opportunity to meet him, but everybody who I know who knew him said he was an amazing person, an amazing coder too. So they're still going to be finishing the code. There was other people who are working on it as well. But I think they did so much to the remake that it actually like looks like a train tracks. Like if you look at the original, it doesn't look like a train like going across the tracks at the top, and the characters were kind of but they look really good, and like I think they did a really good job, and it's really fun to play.
This guy's awesome. That's like shooting at you.
I think that's a topper. Yeah.
That is freaking cool.
Yeah.
That's a pretty machine.
Yeah.
Holy moly. I got one more before we kind of head out. And of course, Elvira is super well known. And I know that she's been in the pinball circles for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is
her third.
And this is a newer one, I believe, right? Elvira's House of Horrors pinball game.
Yes. Yeah, this one is really fun. I enjoyed it. I did not like it when it first came out, but the more that I played it, the more that it grew on me. It's not my favorite of hers. However, it is really, really fun.
Yeah, and she's iconic. And
for sure.
I always remember her in an arcade, and they always had the Elvira pinball machine.
Yes.
And she's still around. She's still kicking around.
Yeah, she was at Expo in 2018 or 19, right around the time when her game came out. She was there. Cassandra Peters, I think is her name.
Yeah, I wonder how old she is now. She must be close.
She looks great, let me tell you. Oh yeah.
She's got to be in her 70s probably, I would imagine. Maybe not. Maybe 60s. I don't know.
Cassandra Peterson.
I'm going to take a guess. 70s.
She was born in 51.
Oh, yeah.
So she's approaching. She's getting there.
She's getting there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. And Jen, I always, before I get on a show, I ask a question on Twitter.
Okay.
And the question today relating to our show here is, did you like, love, or not really care for pinball growing up? So I'm going to read some of these comments.
Okay.
David said, I have more of an appreciation for pinball as an adult than I did as a kid. I was all about the arcade games as a kid and played pinball once in a while. I absolutely love pinball. When I go to the arcade, I often find myself playing pinball more than arcade games. Trevor said, pinball is awesome and loads of fun. If you didn't grow up with pinball or if you didn't like pinball, wow. Mackie says, I loved pinball growing up. And then just simply love was commented. I love Pinball Fire. My introduction to pinball, and I always loved playing Twilight Zone whenever my family would visit the local Caesarland. And during my high school days, I'd always play the pinballs that would come in. Like, this is mostly all I loved it.
Good. Yay. Yay. That's what I like to hear.
Upset said, for some reason, pinball machines were not used as much in my arcades I would frequent to, so I played them just as much as the video game ones. My favorite pinball machines were the Star Wars ones, and there was ones Back to the Future I would play a lot. I see a lot of I liked it, always loved pinball, still love it. It's all right. Oh, we got it. It's all right. All
It's all
right.
right.
Fair
It's
enough.
okay.
Fair
Fair.
enough. Space
Space Cadet.
Cool. Windows pinball was my jam as a toddler. I loved it as a kid. I like pinballs are great. There aren't enough of them in the UK. Interesting. Is that true?
That's what I've heard. I think in other countries it's gaining popularity, but it's definitely not as popular as it is in the US and Canada for sure.
Got it.
And I actually think Brazil has a pretty big scene as well. I get a lot of Brazilian pinball content creators that come up in my feed.
That's interesting. I'll read one more here. Saturday was arcade day for me and my brothers. I miss those days. Just those sounds and the excitement of playing your favorites and discovering new ones. The people who would be potentially potential challenges in the competitive games or allies in cooperative ones. The smell of the tech and the grease. That's true. When you walk into an arcade, there's sounds. Right?
Oh, for sure.
And pinball was part of those sounds and heavily a part of those sounds. Also the flashing lights and all that stuff. But Jen, you do tournaments and you're about to go to one today. Do you want to give us a little bit of tell us a little bit about this? The Arcade Super Awesome?
I am going to Arcade Super Awesome today. It is attached to Sideswipe Brewing in Columbus. This is their monthly tournament series that he hosts the last Saturday of every single month. And it's a little 3-strike knockout. Luckily, the weather is beautiful outside because he does not have air conditioning there.
Oh no.
But it has giant doors to have a nice breeze that comes through. But it's one of my favorite locations. Because John, I think, takes really good care of his machines and has a really good selection of new and old.
Quick question for you, from Waywolf Knight. What was the best arcade you've ever been in?
Oh, I don't want to play favorites.
Oh, okay. We don't want to listen, Wayward Knife. We don't want to put her on the spot. And but I guess, what's one of your favorites? How about that? Or no, we don't have to. You don't have to say anything either.
I really liked Logan's Arcade in Chicago. I think that one has a really cool like setup and a feel and a vibe. Kickback in Pittsburgh is a really fun layout, and it's a cafe, so it's not really like a barcade. It's a cafecade.
Cafecade. A cafecade.
Yeah, it's like a cafecade, but they only have pinball. They don't have any other games. But Kickback is really cool. Arcade Legacy down in Cincinnati is really fun. But of course, I'm biased because I love all the arcades that are up here. So Level 1, Arcade Super Awesome, are some of my favorites.
He said, okay, what's the biggest for you? What was the biggest one you've ever been to?
The biggest one I've ever been to?
For me, it was the Pinball Hall of Fame. That's for darn sure.
It's going to be like really hard to top that. District 82 in Wisconsin, so right outside of Green Bay, they're probably the largest one that I've ever been to. I think they have over 100 machines. Oh, I'm totally missing Wizard World, Fort Wayne. I can't not give Mike a shout out. Wizard World in Fort Wayne, he's got like close to 150 machines now. That's a big one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. We have definitely learned a lot from you, Jen. I must say. Is there anything you'd like to say to wrap up just the pinball side of things? Like, where do you see the future of pinball going? I guess is a good question for you.
I hope that it continues to grow. I'm hoping that, right now, if you look at the demographic at pinball, it's a lot of people who played it as a kid. And I'm hoping that they're getting their kids into playing, or, some of can be people like me I never played it as a kid, but I found it later in life as an adult and was really fun. Like, I just want to spark that younger generation to get into it and start playing it so we can keep it going. Because it's such a great community, and it's honestly such a fun time. It's an expensive sport, don't get me wrong, but It's a lot of fun.
But I mean, for the most part, it's about $0.25 to play them, right? I mean, they don't always get up to 50 cents a play, do they?
Yeah, most of them are 50 cents. Yeah, most
really?
of them are 50 cents, and the newer games are $1.
Oh my God. Okay, I was totally wrong on that. But yeah, so obviously what we've learned is that, and I thought it was really cool to kind of talk more about what pinball is doing today. And it's obvious that pinball is not going away, and pinball is here to stay, as it's been around for many, many years and decades. But yeah, Jen, I can't thank you enough. I wanted to shout out, if you want to check out Jen's stuff, you could check out all of her stuff here. I'm going to link everything we could find. We even got your Twitch now. So I'm going to link it in chat, and then I'm going to obviously share it on our post. And I am going to say, I want to thank everyone that stopped by for the live.
Yes.
Everyone that's watching on VOD, on YouTube, thank you so much. Jen is awesome. Please check out all of her stuff. And
thank you. You are too.
oh, thank you. And before we go, Jen, I wanted to just mention I am going today, just like you're going to a tournament, at Frank and Son's collectibles show here in Southern California. There's the SoCal Gaming Expo popping up, and it's going to be a bunch of local hunters, retro gaming shops. And they're going to be down at Frank and Sons for 2 days, and I'm going to be heading down there today. So I'll be doing a couple of live streams. So if you guys want to check me out live at the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo, hit up my TikTok. You'll see the notification probably. But Jen, absolutely a pleasure to get to meet you and talk with you and have a great time with you. It's been a great hour and a good morning, a great way to start a Saturday. So I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was great meeting you too. This was so much fun. I'm venturing into the afternoon now, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning.
Yeah, I still got my coffee. I'm ready. And I do want to say one thing before I go. We only get one shot at this, so you might as well be nice to people. I'm Andy.
Yes.
This is Jen, and we'll see you all soon. And I will be back next Saturday for Cafe BTW, a gaming morning podcast. Check out all the socials below. I'm everywhere, I guess. I don't know. Jen, thanks again. We'll talk to you guys soon. Until then, see you later.
Thanks, Andy. Bye.
Bye.